Hello and welcome to the Pre-Chiro podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Ben Glass, and today we're making a professional chiropractor connection with Dr. Brian Moriarty down in Florida. Can you get us started, Brian, by just introducing yourself and reflecting on that moment where you were very clear that you wanted to become a chiropractor and that you really just set your path and set your focus on becoming a chiropractor?
Yeah, thank you, Ben. Thank you so much for having me. To start with, it's an honor to be on here. And I'm Dr. Brian Moriarty. I'm the president of the Florida Chiropractic Society, and I would say that it definitely happened before I was even born. It was set me on the path to becoming a chiropractor. My father, the late Dr. Richard Moriarty, was 18 years old, and he was diagnosed with Crohn's disease. And in the 1950s, they had no treatment for it. The treatment they had for it was go in, cut someone open, take out part of the intestines that are inflamed, tie them back up again, see how they do. He went through surgery after surgery constantly until the medical profession said, Rich, you have 6 months to live. Good luck to you. And they had failed him. And on the advice of a contact of his mother's, he went to see a chiropractor. Now, this is in the 1950s. Chiropractors were not on every corner. He's in Jersey City, New Jersey. He had to take the train an hour and a half each way to New York City to see a great chiropractor there. He went 3 times a week for a period of 6 months. And in that 6 months that he was supposed to pass away, he ended up extending his life by 30 plus years. And in that time, he had 3 children, me, my brother, and my sister, which would not have been alive had he passed away at 18. So I am literally alive today because someone told my dad to go to a chiropractor. And he abandoned his career in engineering and became a great chiropractor, a family chiropractor. And that is what inspired me today to become a chiropractor as well.
And if you could kind of just reflect on what your upbringing was like, how it might have been unique, what it was like to be a chiro kid, and maybe just also reflect on how your dad having practice as a chiropractor and now you being in practice as a chiropractor, just growing up with that familiarity has helped you become a successful chiropractor, or at least hit the ground running after graduating, or even before, maybe even in high school or college, working with him. Maybe any details you could tease out on that experiences.
So, growing up with my dad being a chiropractor was a complete blessing in my life. Basically, I was checked for subluxation from the moment I was born. Literally 10 minutes old, my dad was there as I was being born and checked me. He checked my brother. He checked my sister the moment we were born for subluxation and made the most gentle and specific correction. And we grew up getting adjusted our entire lives. Chiropractic was just in us. Every week we would just get at least checked or adjusted for subluxations. And we grew up, we didn't have any vaccines. Okay. We weren't on any medications. And we basically just got adjusted and lived a natural, holistic chiropractic lifestyle. And we were rarely sick. And we rarely had anything go on in our health. And honestly, we rarely ever went to the doctors because every time we would go, it would be what they call a well visit. And they said, well, you're doing so well, you don't have to come back. So, when you grow up in that lifestyle, somebody needs to do a great case study on chiropractic kids versus non-chiropractic kids, because the chiropractic kids, I feel like, are going to slaughter in terms of immunity, in terms of health, in terms of everything possible, intelligence, how they pursue. And when you're around, chiropractors and like I grew up as a kid going to Dynamic Essentials. My dad would go to DE. Thousands of people were there. I'd be running around the hotel, going up and down the elevators, just having a good time. But you're around other people in the same situation as you. Now, when I went to college at a liberal arts college, and I'm the only kid there who hasn't been vaccinated, and I'm the only kid in there who's been adjusted. You feel like an outcast. But I'm also looking around and I'm looking like, these guys have a lot of issues in here, and I'm like the super kid in here. So, to be in a chiropractic family is a blessing. You just make so many great friends that are chiropractors, that chiropractors' kids are your friends at these different places. And it's truly a blessing that I've also passed on to my children. I have 3 wonderful children, and they've been adjusted since they were born as well.
If we were painting a picture of being a chiro kid and getting adjusted, what are some other stories that we can build into the plot of, say, a children's book series about being a chiro kid and chiro heroes or wellness heroes, which are basically like superheroes that are removing subluxation, clearing that transmission between brain and body so that a person can express their full health? What are maybe some scenarios that children go through where when they get adjusted, the removal of subluxation, being free and clear, allows them to have a better quality of life? I'm just curious if you could throw out a couple of different stories or plot twists as we build out this children's book series.
That's a great idea with a children's book series, because man, that needs to be read. And I have a big high volume pediatric and pregnancy practice here in Stuart, Florida. And we try to stress how important it is to get adjusted while you're pregnant and to check the baby as soon as possible after the birth. But it doesn't always work out that way. I mean, those kids get the blessing of like where I was, but we also have kids that come in at a year-old who are constipated and who have horrible irritability. And we also have kids at 2-year-old who are even more constipated and who have ADHD and have hearing problems. And then at 3-year-old, I mean, I've had a 4-year-old come in on a feeding tube, like literally on a feeding tube. They can't even put regular food down his mouth, start getting adjusted, and then they remove the feeding tube. So, at any age, it's great, but you see the effects of what a traumatic birth can have on that precious little baby. And everybody wants to do what's best for their baby. Like, just give me, what can I do what's best? Breastfeeding, whatever. And chiropractic needs to have that voice in there, because births, no matter if they're vaginal or C-section or suction, are pretty much traumatic. I saw a study where 95% of them have cervical subluxations right from birth that are usually never addressed, considering like 5% of this population is under care. So if we could start getting more kids, you wouldn't have to see these miracle stories. I mean, miracle stories are great. I mean, we have kids that literally can't go to the bathroom, okay, that are constipated so much that they have to have an enema to go to the bathroom. And this is life, that mom comes in crying on my shoulder saying there has to be a better way. And there is. Remove the subluxation, turn the power in the body back on, and unlock that potential. But too much chiropractors are just stuck in this low back pain, neck pain mode. And it's like, there is so much God-given potential in your body, okay? That there's so much stuff that can be helped that you have no idea. If we could just remove the subluxation and just unleash that life force in the body, what can happen? And we see it every day in our practice, just kids with seizures, a perfect atlas adjustment. That's where I'll pull out some of my upper cervical skills. Beautifully set in atlas, seizures go away. Wow, get them off anti-seizure medicine. That's a different child, okay? That's on anti-seizure medicine for like 10 years versus one that gets adjusted and doesn't have to have a medicine like that in their system. So it's just stuff like that you're going to see every day in practice. I know I'm sure you see as well.
Can you kind of just describe how you would contextualize chiropractic, or how you communicate chiropractic to, say, a 3-year-old or a 5-year-old or a 10-year-old or a 15-year-old? The audience to this conversation are ideally like high school and college students, and maybe even people that are older that are transitioning careers and just trying to learn about the profession. But just for this point of this conversation, I'm just curious if we could stay centering our voice on the really young kids. I brought up the children's book series because I have a 2.5-year-old, and whenever we go to the library, there's tons of books on become a doctor or a dentist or a firefighter or a construction, a forklift driver, but there's very little to no presence of children's books for chiropractors. And I always question, what would be in those books? What kinds of stories are we telling?
You know, I always bring it back to this quote: "Leave the beach cleaner than you found it." And in terms of how children perceive chiropractic, it's a very, very dirty beach. And I just did a talk in a middle school about 2 weeks ago, and there was about 25 kids in the room, and I said, "How many kids? Raise your hand if you've ever been to a chiropractor." And one kid raised his hand. One out of 25 raised their hand. And I said, "How many people in here crack your own necks?" Every single hand went up. Every single hand in the air. They all crack their own necks and backs constantly. So the kids are lost in what we're actually doing because they think that they just take their head and rip their neck one way with no specific correction of any kind. And that's the same as a specific chiropractic adjustment. That's where we've lost. It's like everybody's doing that now. And now we have to come back and battle that and say, no, that's not an adjustment. You can make your neck pop in a lot of different ways. But when you are misaligned, when you are subluxated, it takes a very specific scientific correction to put it back into place so that the body can function at its optimum potential. Now, that's for like a middle school. Now, we need to dumb it down to maybe a 3-year-old who has not figured out that they can make their neck make the same noise that the chiropractor can make. That's where I always go with the popcorn model. Okay. If you got popcorn in your spine, we need to get that popcorn out. And I always have them on the table when I'm doing my examination. I say, "Do you like popcorn? Do you like popcorn?" Who doesn't like popcorn? Every kid loves popcorn. They go to the movies, extra butter. They go watch Super Mario Brothers. Every kid loves popcorn. And I say, "Well, let me check your spine for popcorn." And, "Oh, I feel a little popcorn kernel right there. And let's check it and let's move you and pop." And off goes the popcorn. And they say, "Oh, I feel better. I think I want to go back to Dr. Popcorn." And that's where we get the nickname Dr. Popcorn. But we have to explain it to them at a level because a lot of 3-year-olds won't even get on the table. They're even scared to death because every time they got on a table in a doctor's office, they were either given some pill or shot up with something or poked and prodded. So there's like this PTSD. I can't even get a 3-year-old to get on the table, but Dr. Popcorn can. So that's where we have to come up with language that's appropriate for that age. 3-year-olds love popcorn. I'm Dr. Popcorn. They're going to love me and they're going to want to get adjusted. And that's how we get them on there.
And you mentioned that you see a lot of pregnant women. Can you kind of just build context for that high school or college student that is just familiarizing themselves with the pregnancy process, how a woman goes through stages of developing a baby inside of their tummy and how that changes the way that their body feels, that changes the way that they carry themselves under the weight of gravity, and how chiropractors can actually help a pregnant person?
Yeah. So in terms of pregnancy, I was blessed to be certified by Dr. Jeannie Ohm, one of my heroes with the ICPA. And, she's touched probably thousands and thousands of lives. And the thing that Jeannie always told me was that when you're talking to a pregnant mom, it's about balance in the pelvis. Okay. It's that our pelvis, okay, is going to get out of alignment. And when it does, it's going to have forces that are going to constrain that uterus. They're going to pull on those round ligaments and they're going to make it a very uncomfortable spot for that baby to come in. And what chiropractors do is we provide balance. Okay. We take that crooked pelvis and we balance that pelvis. We loosen those round ligaments using the Webster technique so that we're going to make it a more comfortable pregnancy for mom, because when her pelvis is in alignment, when her sacrum is in the right position, that baby's going to sit in a better spot and she's going to be more comfortable. So everybody likes to be more comfortable during pregnancy. And number two, and most importantly, she's going to have a better birth because her pelvis is aligned. Okay. Because then the baby's going to come out easier. She's going to have less time in labor, more productive labor, less chance of a C-section. And I would think that every pregnant mom would also want to look forward to that. I don't think there's very few that are like, "Oh, I really want a painful, long, horrible birth that ends up in a C-section." They all want a great birth, but they don't realize that the things that they do while they're pregnant affect how that birth happens. So we need to communicate that language to that. And it's usually a very easy sell to a patient saying, you want to feel better, you want to function better. Absolutely. Here we go.
You said that you were at a liberal arts college. Can you describe your experience in college and leading up to chiropractic school, and maybe some experiences that you had that related to your time in chiropractic school or becoming a chiropractor?
So I went to Oglethorpe University in Atlanta, Georgia, a wonderful liberal arts college. It was a great experience. Made a lot of great friends that I still talk with today. But when you're going through college, they kind of put you on the spot with what's your major? What's your major? What are you going for? What are you trying to do? And you have to kind of figure out. And even with my miraculous story of my dad and me in the back of my mind saying, I'm going to be a chiropractor, you still are going to wonder, what else can you be? Okay. You start going through classes, you go through math class. Oh, maybe I'll do something math related, or maybe I'll be an actor, or maybe, a lot of different thoughts are going to come through your head. And, I talk to a lot of students, and they're more and more are considering chiropractic, but when they get into the medical field, they gravitate toward MD, nurse, physical therapist. You get a lot of those type things. And I hope they consider being a chiropractor as well. I was a math major in college. Okay. I loved math. Okay. I loved algebra and equations and all that dorky stuff. I was in like the math league. Okay. Sorry to, but that's what I love doing. So I was a math major. I minored in biology. I took the classes that I needed to take, and I got into chiropractic school. So always consider chiropractic though, because it's a great job where you're going to change lives. You're going to see miracles happen, whether you want them to happen or not. And it's a great place to own your own business, set your own hours, and set up an incredible life that will blow away any of your expectations. And I wish that more of the students that are in high school and college and considering careers, and that's why I go to like these career days with middle schoolers and high schoolers, is to tell them that, like, hey, there's a pretty good life over here that I'm having. And a lot of my friends that are chiropractors are having pretty good lives too. And give it a shot. Take a look. It's pretty good to own your own business and to be a kick-ass chiropractor.
And I actually appreciate you saying you were a math major, because I think it's really important for students to recognize that nowadays, especially with the changes to the admissions requirements in chiropractic colleges, you actually can go into chiropractic school with a bachelor's degree in almost anything. Art, history, math, it doesn't matter. You name it, as long as you have that bachelor's degree, you are qualified for certain chiropractic programs. At least I know that's what Life West is doing over here in the Bay Area. Can you maybe just describe what chiropractic school was like for you, the pathway that you took, maybe the mentors you had, or the particular specialized interests that you developed as a chiropractic student?
So, like I said, I was a math major, graduated from Oglethorpe, and I was I was a biology minor. So I got some of the courses I needed for chiropractic school. And then I started at Life in Atlanta, Life University, and they have these great programs where in like 5 weeks or 10 weeks, you can take all your prereqs quickly. So if you come from a different background, like math, like I did, and I took some biology courses, but you can knock out those prereqs very quickly, 5-10 weeks, get it through, you can knock those out and catch right up to someone who is a biology major, even though that's not where you went for, and get right into school very quickly. Like, it's not like you got to go to like 2 or 3 more years of school. I think I did it in like a few months, and then boom, got into Life University. And when I got into Life, sadly, that was the time when they lost their accreditation. That's when Dr. Sid was being targeted by the CCE. And sadly, that was the first quarter I was there. And I said, listen, I don't know how this is going to all work out, but I was watching friends of mine that were done with chiropractic school that could not graduate. And I said, I just don't want to be a part of this. So I transferred to Palmer, Florida, the next quarter, didn't lose any time, and hit the ground running. And I have made some great friends through chiropractic school. It's a great program. You learn a lot and you make lasting friendships. I have this group chat with some of my friends that I went to Palmer, Florida with, and there's like 12 or 14 of them on this group chat. And we've had this thing going for now 17 years since I've been out of chiropractic school. 17 years on a daily basis, we are checking in on a chat. So if you talk about lasting friendships, we make lasting friendships. And every year now in Orlando, at one of our Florida Chiropractic Society conventions, we have a reunion and we get together and we talk about practice life and we talk about, when you go to school, you hopefully will make lasting friendships. And at chiropractic school is where I met my wife as well. I was a student. I met her in town, and 13 years later, happily ever after. And like I said, we have 3 wonderful kids. And so chiropractic school for me, I mean, made friends that last a lifetime, met my wife, my kids now, and it did everything for me.
Can you describe a day in the life of your expression of chiropractic in your practice, how you've designed your practice, how you've set it up, the types of skills that you're demonstrating throughout the day, whether it's communication with your team or the patients that you take care of, or it's the way that you market and develop, relationships within your community, and then also your clinical model, how you practice chiropractic, how long you spend with people, what your primary objectives are, clinically speaking, and maybe just how you work with people and how you work as a chiropractor.
So I have a high volume office, typical week, 800 to 1,000 patients, okay, depending on what time of year it is. We have 4 associates that work in the office, and our visit is based around the chiropractic adjustment, removing subluxation, and that is it, okay? We have a very simple, we call it traditional chiropractic model. We do hands-on adjusting, diversified, Thompson drop, activator, knee, chest, upper cervical when needed. But we keep it very simple and a very clear message. If you're subluxated, it is cutting off the lifeline to your body. And by removing that subluxation, you can express your full God-given potential. And we keep it very simple. We take x-rays. We have a digital x-ray machine, examination, first visit, get them adjusted, get them started, get them set up on a care plan. And our visits are very quick. Okay. This is not a spa visit. Okay. We keep it very simple. I'm in and out of that room probably in a minute, 2 minutes. It's very simple. Scan, look for subluxations, clear them out, send them on their way. I'll see you Thursday. And we have a lot of families that come to see us. We're a big family practice. Like I mentioned, pregnant moms, kids. We see people of all ages. I mean, we've got babies that we see right from the womb to, I got a guy who's 100 years old that still comes, and everywhere in between. And, an office like this, we get a lot of student interns that come down from colleges, that come down from chiropractic colleges, from regular colleges. And I just tell them, just come spend the day with me. I don't care who you are. My doors are always open. Just come follow me around for a day and see what we do. And it's not that the day is perfect with rainbows and sunshine every single day. Every day has its challenges. You're going to have failure and disappointment, and that's part of the game. Okay. There's going to be people that don't get it, and it could add to frustration, of course. But that's just the minuscule, tiny little bit of it, because most of it, if not all of it on most days, is full of, oh my gosh, doc, this is, this, you have just helped me so much. And for me, I always give credit to the creator, okay? Because there's only one true healer in this world, and it certainly is not me, it's God, okay? So I don't know if you're a spiritual guy or not, Ben, or if that resonates with you, but that's what I tell patients, all right? And it's pretty awesome to see what God can do through me on these people. And every patient is a blessing, and I just try to do my part. My team does our part. We have a great staff. We have great doctors that work there. And it's, I love to go to work every day. I love to go to work every day, and I can't wait for tomorrow.
Thank you for that. I appreciate you providing that level of detail. Just to tease out a couple of extra details, you said we scan them. Do you use infrared thermography? Do you use the Insight technology? And then also you mentioned that you have multiple interns and associate doctors. Can you talk about that relationship and what you're observing with student graduates today, or just helping students get more out of those associateship opportunities in your office, or just what you recommend as best practices, having experience in that?
When I said scan them, I just meant taking X-rays on them. We have a digital X-ray suite. We like to X-ray most patients unless they're pregnant. So we do digital X-rays. We do exams. Was the other thing we do. Scanning equipment is great. Obviously, it just doesn't fit our model at this time. But like I said, we have a lot of interns in our office. We've had a lot of preceptors and from the different chiropractic colleges. And I've had a lot of people come check my office out before doing their preceptorship to see if it's a good fit for them. And every single time they've done it, they've come back like the next day or later that night and said, yes, this is where I want to be. And I've talked with some of these students about other people they know and other experiences that they're going through. And I can tell you that not every preceptor experience is positive. Sadly, there are people that are making their students do a lot of the grunt work and a lot of different therapies and a lot of things that really aren't chiropractic. When I have my interns in the office, they're here to work. Okay. I don't want them to come here and just watch me on the sidelines. I put them in the game. Okay. So we work with them on technique. A lot of students, I'll be honest, are lacking in technique right now. I feel like the schools, some of them are better than others for sure. I mean, I've had an abundance of people come from Life West and from Sherman and from Life, and hands down, those are the best adjusters I'll ever see. And not that we don't take other people, but we've had some people from some of the other schools, and they're not quite there, and that's where we have to work with them. And there's a school down here called Kaiser, which is very close to where we're at, the School of Chiropractic Medicine, and they need to really work on their adjusting technique, because it's so important. And if I have a message for a student, okay, when you're in school, I know you got to pass boards, okay, I get it, you got to pass and study and everything. But the number one thing you could do, we'll go two, okay? Number one, get the philosophy, okay? Go read some green books, get the philosophy, get the principle, understand the 33 principles, talk with your friends about it, argue over what everything is. And number two, get your technique down, okay? Go to seminars like the ICPA and different adjusting seminars and get really, really good at your craft. Because when you get really good at your craft, you will believe in it, and it will help you get people better when you believe in it, because chiropractic is enough. Chiropractic is enough. Okay. There's not all this other stuff that has to go along with it. It's enough. And the students that come into my office, they leave excellent adjusters. And oftentimes that leads to them possibly being an associate in my office or wherever, but it definitely gives them a leg up, because they've got their hands on a lot of people while in my office, and they always will, because that's the only way you're going to get good at something is time and repetition.
Couldn't agree with you more on that one. So just a little background context so far in this conversation that you and I have had. We've gone through what is chiropractic, who sees chiropractors, why do people become chiropractors, what types of skill sets do chiropractors have, what can they do to make a difference in people's lives, and we talked about the design of your clinic. Those are the first 3 stages of the pre-chiro program that I'm proposing be implemented at high schools and colleges. The 4th stage is start your own pre-chiro club. And as someone who has a business that's bustling, that's the machine is well oiled and really refined, and you have systems and procedures, I'm wondering if you can creatively imagine you're having a conversation with a student who wants to start a pre-chiro club on their high school or college campus themselves, with your guidance maybe a little bit, but how would you encourage them to set up their club, orient it towards the environment with which it's in, which is a college campus? You've got teachers, fellow students, administrators, guidance counselors. How can we build a really strong pre-chiro club model so that students are supported and can really grow their practice of educating people on chiropractic, of inviting people to join their club, just as they'll do so when they get out of chiropractic school one day and be in practice? That's kind of the parallel metaphor that I'm trying to create.
Pre-chiro club is a great idea. And with any great club, there's got to be a hook to it, and there's got to be something that they're going to see and get a tangible goal out of it. because if they're exposed to it, you're probably going to get one chance to get them on board. So, that's where, there's different great speakers in chiropractic. We have this great technology with Zoom and StreamYard and all these things of how we can get people that are the leaders in chiropractic, the high volume chiropractors, the ones that are on the stages at all of these conferences like Dynamic Essentials and CalGym and New Beginnings and all these places, and get them to give back to the profession, which most people want to give back to the profession, and get to these kids and get a shot right in their heart that they can see, that they feel the energy of where this person is at who's accomplished in practice, and get them to get that hook so that they want to be a part of this. And it's a brilliant idea because you're going to get a lot of people that are going to be interested. And that's where you've got one shot. You've got one shot to get to them and get that kid who's sitting in the back of the room and get him to be engaged and get excited about being a chiropractor, because the world needs more chiropractors. I mean, gosh, we only have 7% of the population under care. I mean, it's like the weakest number ever. I mean, so many more people go to the dentist than you can get false teeth put in your teeth if they don't work out. So I think what you're doing, Ben, is phenomenal work. And if I could be a help, please let me know.
Yeah, you're doing it right here. This conversation will be cut up and utilized for different modules at different stages for different students at different stages of the life cycle to become a chiropractor, right? Kind of building out a 12-stage life cycle. We're just in the early stages in this conversation. I'm curious, stage 5, after they've either started a club, gotten involved with a club, they've had experiences in offices, getting adjusted, observing different practice models. Now they're going to go and spend 3 to 6 months on an independent study project. Do you have anything that comes right off the top of your head, creatively speaking, that you can set somebody on a little independent study creative project, capstone project for their college experience that's related to pre-chiropractic studies or related to chiropractic or being a chiropractor that could be helpful for them to spend time with?
Well, I mean, we're already doing that in our office. I'll be honest with you. We have a local high school and college that sends us interns, and they spend so many hours with us. I don't know if it's like 80 hours or something, but they work a couple of days a week, and we put them to work in the office, and they're interns. And then at the end, they have to do a capstone presentation about our office. And typically, I go and attend the presentation and help them with that. And we've had a lot of interns that have done that from that level. So if we could get that out to what we're doing here to other places, it's great to have someone like that see an office that's running on all cylinders and see a successful office, because a lot of them go on to chiropractic school. I'll be honest with you. They see it and they're like, oh, this is what I want to do. And now they're in college and they're going to be graduating from chiropractic school soon. So that's what we need to do. We're already doing it here. So
can you kind of talk about the Florida Chiropractic Society, the International Chiropractic Association, why you're so involved, what students or practicing chiropractors can do to get involved, maybe share the resources available to connect in with those organizations and what they represent?
So the let me just say, but it's truly a blessing to be a chiropractor. Okay, chiropractic has blown the doors off my wildest hopes and dreams, and has changed my life in amazing ways. And I always want to try to give back to a profession that has blessed me so much. So I feel like all chiropractors, if it has blessed your life, then you need to try to give back. And there's 2 great ways to give it back. And that's either with your time or your talents or your money. Okay. And for me, I try to give my time and my talents and my money. So, but the International Chiropractors Association, I serve as their secretary on their executive board. That's BJ Palmer's organization, founded, we're coming up. We just had our annual meeting. It was the 97th annual meeting at the ICA, and the ICA is holding the line and standing for principled chiropractic globally. And that's why I put my time and talents into that organization, because I want to see them grow and I want to see them everywhere. And the Florida Chiropractic Society is the state association here in Florida. It is the principal organization in the state of Florida, and I serve as their president. And the FCS is always on the front lines, battling against the dark forces in chiropractic that want to medicalize it. With this year, we had a bill in Tallahassee where we tried to remove the CCE monopoly on chiropractic in the state of Florida. It was a very public display, and we had to testify in hearings, and it was great. And we're going to continue that trudging forward. And it got a lot of national attention because of it. And at the FCS, there's most states have no state associations or one. We actually have like 4 or 5, and who knows, maybe 6 tomorrow. And someone's got to hold that principal line to protect chiropractic, because if we let some of these yahoos loose, I mean, we're going to be prescribing drugs, doing surgeries, injections, you name it. So, that's where the FCS holds the line. We hold the line. We have a strong presence in Tallahassee. We have incredible members that come to our conventions. And it's truly an honor to serve as the president of that group.
Well, thank you for your dedication, commitment, and representation of chiropractic for the prospective students, current students, anybody listening to this message. Is there any final message? I mean, you kind of did give it a little wrap-up message right there before you talked about the associations, that this is just an amazing profession. But if you were having a conversation with one of your kids and they were kind of at this crossroads in life where they really did need to make a commitment to a path, maybe it's a loose commitment, but maybe it's a hard commitment. How would you maybe distinguish the chiropractic path from that physical therapy, medical pathway that is really, I guess you could say, the more common path?
Those are all great careers, and to each his own. I love chiropractic because I see life-changing miracles every day in my office. And when I come into work, I expect miracles to happen. I don't quite see those as often probably in those other professions. So for me, I get jazzed up because I always want to see what incredible miracle chiropractic can unlock. And I wish that for students, because that's going to keep you going. That's going to keep you fired up to want to be a chiropractor every single day, as opposed to maybe some of those other professions that might not have those things. Chiropractic is work, okay? But it's meaningful work. And it's always challenging. But challenge and struggle are part of this equation. And if you want to expect miracles in your office, you're going to have challenges, okay? Challenges make us stronger. And once we get through those challenges, the miracles on the other side are incredible. And that's why I love being a chiropractor, because every single day I sit down with someone different and I get to hear about what their version of chiropractic is and how they went to a chiropractor 16 years ago after an auto accident and how they haven't been back, because nobody told them the chiropractic story. And the chiropractic story is so simple, okay? When you unlock that potential in the body, you just get out of the way and watch what happens. And so many people don't get that. We're just labeled in this back pain and neck pain model, and it's sad, because once those things go away, so do the patients. And every single person on this planet should be under chiropractic care. And in our office, we're good at starting people on the path to lifetime care. That's where we want them in, okay? How often do I need to come, doc? Forever. Oh, I can't come forever. Are you going to the dentist forever? Oh, yeah. But you can't come here? This is your nervous system. The most important system in the body, controls everything. Why would you treat that system with any less than any other system? Some people treat their cars better than they treat their own body, and you only get one body. You can trade in that car tomorrow for another car that works better. You only get one body, only one spine, one nervous system. So take care of that spine, get adjusted regularly, and watch what happens.